Guide to a Successful School Year for All, Leading for Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Implementation Plan. Todd Whitaker states, great principals are loyal to their students, to their teachers, and to the school. They expect loyalty to students and the school to take precedence over loyalty to themselves. The mission of my school district is to inspire and empower each student. I feel that it is my job to inspire and empower each staff member as well as each student as I am leading this work. We took the mission of our school district and created a slogan that directly represents the school population that I want to make sure is included. Practicing kindness, respect everyone, inspire others, dream big, and encourage every heart. This slogan will be inclusive to all students that enter our doors. The timeline for my implementation plan is 1 year. I have selected 10 points that I would like to work on throughout the school year, part of which we will start right at the beginning of the school year and continue to work on throughout the school year. The other part will be in the middle of the school year and woven in through instruction throughout the remainder of the school year. I chose these 5 implementation pieces to start the school year with. Creating an environment of trust for staff and expectations for staff is important to creating a positive school culture that will directly impact the equitable instruction that will be occurring in our classrooms on a daily basis. Once I have created this space for staff, we will bring in the families and creating an environment of trust for students and families. It is important that students and families feel heard and included in our school setting. Communication will also be very important in my implementation plan for students, families, and staff. The final piece is positive school culture. All 5 of these we will start with first thing in August and September. It's important to start with building a positive, trusting culture that is inclusive and accessible to everyone that enters. This will ultimately impact student achievement. The first of which is creating an environment of trust for staff. Here is my timeline. The plan implementation will begin in August and September with professional development, with topics such as why trust? What do trusting relationships look, sound, and feel like? What commitments do you need from me and colleagues to build trusting relationships? I will tap into the work of Elena Aguilar. Throughout the school year, we will have monthly professional developments led by teacher leaders to elevate teacher autonomy and direction to continue to build that trust. What relationships can you trust? What more do you need to be successful? How can you take this work back to your students? By the middle of the year, teachers should start being able to take this work of building trust amongst each other and bringing it into their classrooms to build a trusting community in their classrooms where students can achieve. Evaluation of success will be a staff survey evaluating the level of trust that they felt at the end of the school year to determine next steps. Why is this important? For educational leaders to move instruction, they must create a trusting relationship with the staff that they are working with. Some barriers that I foresee is possibly resistant staff, time for professional development, lack of dedication to building trusting relationships, or the inability to connect with students. If this all goes well, it impacts staff morale and productivity, which ultimately supports students in feeling that they can trust their teachers and be vulnerable to learn. The second step is expectations for staff. As we continue to work on the trusting relationships, I will communicate honestly with my staff the expectations for them. In the very first staff meeting, I will communicate the expectations. Weekly newsletters and the start of staff meetings and trainings will also review these expectations. As the work continues, professional learning communities Smaller groups of teachers, we will reinforce or determine if there's areas to work on. If needed, one-on-one conversations will happen amongst staff members and myself. The end of the school year, we will have a staff survey, and I will also determine, was there implementation in the classrooms of our Pride slogan and expectations. Me being transparent will create more equitable, inclusive practices in the classrooms for students. Full of positive energy about the coming year, the start of the year is a chance to set the tone for the school year and, more importantly, for the school. It is important to start the school year with these expectations. This then allows the teachers to consider what are their expectations for their students in their own classrooms. By modeling that for them, they will directly impact what is occurring in their classrooms. Some possible barriers might be unions if teachers are having a hard time following expectations, resistant staff members, or misunderstanding of what the expectations are. The impact of creating positive expectations, explicit expectations for staff, impacts communication with staff and models for students and increases students' achievement. The third, now that staff have learned how to build trust and what their expectations are, we are going to focus on students and families in creating an environment of trust. We will start with a back-to-school night, opening our doors to our school community. During this time, interpreters will be present so that all families can gain access to what is being shared about our school community. We will create parent groups, a parent-teacher club, communication of pride and building agreements and expectations so all students and families know what's expected of them and how their students can be set up for success. We will encourage families to volunteer in our classrooms and be present if they are able. This will continue throughout the school year with monthly family nights, monthly newsletters. Staff will be communicating with their grown-ups, their students' grown-ups, regularly. Signage and communication will be shared in multiple languages, and our community liaison will be available and able to connect with families as needed. In the spring, we will have a survey to families. How did things go? What are next steps? We will also have our community liaison make personal phone calls to some of our families that are the most marginalized. Why is this important? Parents are part of the decision-making protocols. They are the biggest window into our students. Some barriers could be lack of trust from families, inability to participate, fear, or possibly even childcare. However, as we do this work, it will impact the school culture and create inclusiveness for the community. Our fourth step is a communication timeline. We will start the year with weekly newsletters and expectations that teachers also send home regular communication to their families. Shared school calendar so staff knows what's coming up throughout the coming weeks. District and school expectations for professional development, grading days, and an open door policy that as long as I'm available, I want to talk and I'm here to process. Throughout the school year, we will continue with weekly newsletters. We will continue with the shared calendar. I will come in and provide observational data that will be shared in a timely manner. I will have open door for staff and students once the expectations have been shared with students. At the end of the school year, we will have a conversation about teacher evaluation and a survey of the principal communication. Why is this important? One simple additional goal: I want teachers to be more excited about teaching tomorrow than they were today. It is my job to communicate and be available for communication so that students and teachers are excited about the work we will be doing today and as the days come. Some barriers I foresee is that staff doesn't read the communication. I don't want to over communicate, and if there are negative staff members. However, Positive, regular communication impacts the understanding and builds trust, strengthens relationships, and creates a positive school community where all students thrive. The final piece of my implementation plan for the first few weeks of school is establishing a positive culture for school. We will have a branding, staff and student swag so that everybody knows that they are a member of our community. We will have our first assembly within the first week with our school song. We will review expectations, student images around school participating in school expectations will be up and present for all. Our pride communication and information around the building. We will have positive social media posts so that the community and families know what is happening in our school. This will continue throughout our months together with monthly assemblies celebrating cultural night or cultural months, reviewing expectations regularly with students and staff, posters that are posted, student groups working on desired outcomes, a leadership group, various other groups that are student driven and staff supported. Evaluation of success, we will have a culture survey for staff, students, and families. We will have a leadership student empathy data collection, as well as a staff culture survey. Why is this important? Can't have a culture where everyone counts unless you let them know where they are valued. If we alter something today, we change the climate. If we never revert back, we change the culture. Some of the barriers that I foresee are negative staff members, negative students, and if there are large behavioral disruptions that could impact the school or class culture. The impact of creating a positive school culture is it creates a more welcoming and engaging space where all students can thrive, not just some students. That plan will start at the beginning of the school year and continue throughout the year. These last 5 components I will hope to start in November and continue throughout the school year as well. Universal design for learning, teacher growth, teacher retention, purposeful recognition for all, and establishing and maintaining social connections. The first of which is now that we've created this positive, trustworthy culture, it is time to really put our instruction into practice to create an inclusive learning for all students. We will start the school year with school leadership planning. In November and December, we will go into our continuous improvement with monthly professional develop on universal design for learning using our instructional coaches. Application of one of the strands of universal design for learning will be an expectation. These conversations can occur during our professional learning communities. Principal observations will also come with the lens of implementation of universal design for learning so that all students are accessing educations, not just some students. Collaboration with our emerging multilingual instructor as well as our special education teachers so that all students can access what is expected of them. The evaluation of success in the spring to determine next steps will be student data disaggregated, looking at our language learners, our students receiving special services, UDL implementation checklist that has already been created by our district and that can be checked off either by peer observations, principal observations, or instructional coach observations. Staff survey to determine next steps. How are we feeling about the initial implementation of universal design for learning? What do we want to continue moving forward? The plan, anti-racism must be active, not passive. Universal design for learning has to be intentionally implemented, not just intended. Some of the barriers are planning time, professional development time, misinterpretation of data, and resistance. However, even though these barriers may occur, the impact is student engagement, achievement, and it creates a sense of belonging for all of our students. Our next step will be looking at teacher growth. With the professional development woven in about trust and universal design for learning, teacher growth is something that I really want to focus on and support. We will start in the fall with the student growth goals and one-on-one principal meetings. However, as the year continues, we will have bi-weekly professional development time, which is already built into our schedules. Survey staff determining what are their goals. Universal design for learning implementation will be one. Are there other areas that they would like to grow on? Evaluation and reflection of student growth goals to guide the professional development. Teachers' observations with timely feedback. As I go in and observe, I will make sure that I am responding quickly. Evaluation of success in the spring to determine what the next year will look like for teacher growth. How did we do with our student growth goals? The teacher self-assessment and principal observations. Why is this important? Our most important work is to improve the people in our school. It's important to improve our teachers so that they can ultimately improve our student outcomes. Our barriers might be some resistance, time, if district directive initiatives come in and take the place of our bi-weekly or bi-monthly trainings, and contracts if there are things that I can't do because of contracts. However, the impact of this will be on stronger instructional practices, increase in teacher confidence, and improve all students' outcomes. These go hand in hand, the teacher retention and the teacher growth. In the fall, I hope to hire effective staff. Keeping those staff is important. Building a community of trust, which was started back in the fall, will be part of our continuous work. Improving teacher development bi-weekly, as stated in the previous goal. Allowing for opportunities for open communication amongst myself and each other. And allowing for teacher social emotional learning. Allowing them to take care of themselves and me to take care of them. In the spring, the evaluation of success will be evaluation of the remaining staff, who was able to stay, who chose to leave. Staff survey determining how supported they feel, what changes need to be made for the upcoming year. The plan, why are we doing this? Teachers do not just want to be supported, they also want to feel supported. For teachers to remain, they need to feel supported. Some barriers that I foresee is if we have temporary employees, district hiring practices, budget cuts, involuntary district movements, or staff licensure issues with temporary or probationary staff. However, if all goes well, the impact is it will create strong stability and collaboration that supports student achievement and fosters relationships with staff and students to create an inclusive and equitable environment for all students that come through our doors. Purposeful recognition. In the middle of the school year, once we've created this trusting, positive culture, we will start the school year with leadership planning. What do we want this to look like? The principal will begin with recognizing staff, and it might just be simple notes as I go in and observe things that I see them doing well, simple recognition at staff meetings. That will continue. However, we will have bi-weekly opportunities for staff to recognize each other. That could be a golden apple for colleagues who recognize something that their colleagues did well in a staff meeting. Monthly assemblies to recognize students. Teachers and staff will nominate students that they see that are being exemplary students in our school, making sure that we are using an equity lens with who is getting these awards and the why they are getting it. communication of recognition to families so that they are able to see what is going well in our buildings, and communication to staff if they're unable to attend staff meetings of what our staff is doing to make our community a better place for everyone. The evaluation of this will be a family survey at the end of the school year, student empathy data, and a staff survey and possibly empathy data as well. Did this go well this year? Are there things that we can build on for the following school year? Why is this important? Praise must be authentic, but authentic praise is powerful reinforcement and motivator. To keep the staff morale up, to keep the students wanting to achieve, we need to show them that what they are doing is what we expect, what we value, that they are doing the things. Barriers could be time, lack of employee buy-in, or just the inconsistency that could occur when trying to do something bi-weekly. However, if we do stick to a purposeful recognition protocol, the impact is that it builds motivation, it strengthens relationships, and creates a positive school culture where all students can thrive. The final is establishing and maintaining social connections. At our initial staff meeting in the fall, we'll do a socio-diagram for staff. Who do you feel connected with? Are there staff members that don't have any connection? Maybe they're new. Maybe they're very quiet. We will also establish a social committee. Some staff members that enjoy celebrating birthdays, babies, weddings, other staff recognition opportunities. Throughout the school year, we will build on this initial reflection, and with the expectation of each classroom teacher will do a socio-diagram in their classroom, how they think it would benefit them and their students. They will use that information to identify students that need more connections. With connections with the counselor and the teachers, they will create plans to support 2 to 3 students in each class to establish social connections with purposeful check-ins with staff, as well as including the families in the conversations. The evaluation of success will be the student empathy data, especially from those 2 to 3 students in each classroom. We will also redo the socio-diagram, focused specifically on targeted students and staff that maybe didn't have as many meaningful connections earlier in the school year, to determine next steps. Why is this important? Less effective people do positive things quite infrequently. Average people do things intermittently. The best people do things consistently. By consistently working on maintaining social connections, the impact will be to create a sense of trust, belonging, and collaboration that aids in positive student outcome for all. Some barriers could be time, inability to follow through. Only having one counselor can stretch them very thin. Staff buy-in, cost if we're wanting to provide additional time for staff or items for staff. My evaluation of success will be held in the spring, looking at all of my 10 targeted goals for the year. We will have surveys, empathy data, and when I say surveys, it's not going to be tons of surveys. Time will be provided to staff to provide meaningful feedback so that we can determine next steps. The leadership team and I will then look at the information that's gathered to determine what do we want the following year to look like. We will continue to build on many of these pieces during our work together. Some of the barriers that I see for the whole implementation plan is just simply educator buy-in. Is there resistance? Is it my inexperience, their inexperience? Is it just the unknown? They don't know what this is going to look like, what the impact of this will be. There's also community support. There's resistance from the community. There's the unknown from the community. There's inability to participate. We've got working families, families that are undocumented, families that are concerned about judgment, um, making sure that they're not, we want to make sure that they're able to come in. Time, teacher time, professional development time, planning time, implementation time, expectations with the schedule can all impact the implementation of this plan. However, I feel that this plan has many amazing things that can positively support all students feeling included in a safe and trusting school environment. Moving forward, these are the sources that I used to support this work.